Okay guys, so James Franco stars in this movie, and his character is married to a character named Mary Jane. Tell me that didn't make you think of Spider-Man as you watched this. Was I the only one who thought of that? Okay, anyway, let's go on. Anyway guys, hey there, what's up? It's Autobot Mike 18 here with another movie review. Guys, in this video, I am going to be reviewing True Story. Now, True Story, I don't know if you guys have actually heard of this movie. I don't think it's a movie that's been getting a whole lot of attention lately. It got a limited release this weekend, April 18th, or April 17th. For this weekend, and it opened in the small independent theater that's near my house, so I did get a chance to see it. But it's like a crime mystery thriller that stars James Franco and Jonah Hill. And I think that the biggest amount of buzz that this movie has gotten is the trailer that was released on YouTube. Because as soon as the trailer debuted, a lot of people said, holy crap, I don't think I'm going to get to take this movie seriously. Jonah Hill and James Franco in what looks like a dark, possibly creepy thriller. And that's what a lot of people were thinking going into the movie. And I myself, after having watched the trailer, was immediately intrigued and said, yeah, I'm going to have to check this movie out. It actually looks pretty good. And it's interesting to have to see Jonah Hill and James Franco go through dramatic performances as opposed to comedic performances that we're used to seeing them in. So now they're teaming up for True Story, and yeah, just came out this week, and I did get a chance to see it. I've been really busy editing the film I've been working on, guys. But I did get a chance to sneak out to the theater this weekend. I saw Paul Blart Mall Cop 2, which I already reviewed. That's already up on my channel. Don't see that. Definitely see this over that if you have to pick and choose. But now we have True Story that I'm reviewing. And also stay tuned for my Blu-ray digital copy giveaway winners, guys. Just wanted to quickly update all that on my channel before I get into the plot, me summing up the plot of the movie. So, True Story, as you guys can tell by the title of the movie, is based on a true story. You got it? Literally, when I was waiting for this to happen in the beginning of the movie, where the title pops up on screen, True Story, I wanted the phrase "based on a true story" to pop up on screen. Then I wanted all the rest of the words to disappear and just have the title up there. That would have been frickin' awesome, but it didn't happen because this movie isn't that type of movie. Okay. Anyway, so in this movie, Jonah Hill plays Michael Finkel, a New York Times journalist who has misinformation in his most recent article and gets fired from the Times, trying to put his life back on the right track, trying to sort of redeem himself for the sort of lies that he put into his most recent article. Then enter James Franco's character. James Franco plays Christian Longo in this movie. He is a man who is convicted, or he's being held in jail for supposedly murdering his wife and 3 young children. However, when he is apprehended by the police for the crime, he tells the police that his name is Michael Finkel, Jonah Hill's character. And Jonah Hill's character finds out about this and decides to go pay James Franco a visit in jail to get to the deeper meaning of why he wanted to use Jonah Hill's character's name. And the two of them start this sort of, not bond, but they start seeing each other on a sort of regular basis. Jonah Hill wants to make a story out of his crime that he's been, accused of. James Franco's character. And James Franco sort of wants to benefit from Jonah Hill's character in a certain way that I'm not going to get into. And that, my friends, is your movie behind True Story. And I know you guys can barely look at this poster because it's like a beige color, but that's actually, like, I guess supposed to be a fingerprint. And the word lies is written a bunch of times in this circle. So that, my friends, is the poster of the movie. And as I said, guys, as I watched the trailer for the movie, I definitely got excited for it. I said, wow, this actually looks like a pretty compelling movie. It looks like Jonah Hill and James Franco may pull off 2 of their best performances to date. I got really excited for it. Coming out of the movie, cutting to the chase, guys, True Story is a movie that I think had good intention. And I think the filmmakers, when they sat down and worked on the script and worked on planning on shooting the movie, I think they had good intention to make this an interesting crime thriller, sort of. You know, sort of like mystery film. But honestly, after watching the movie, this is not that type of movie that is marketed in the trailers. You're not getting that type of movie. When you go see this movie, you're really getting a psychological drama that is sort of a character piece between two characters. It's sort of a commentary on lies and deception. That's what you're getting, just to let you guys know, when you go into True Story. Now, I know a lot of you are going to be like, well, Mike, that's no reason to hate on a movie just because it's different from what the trailer promised you. And you're absolutely right. That's not why I didn't all that care for True Story. I didn't really care for this movie as much as I wanted to, because the movie sets us up for what we all want as a grand payoff between these two characters. They set us up with two characters who are entirely different. Jonah Hill's character is about bringing out the truth, even though he lies in an article early on in the film. James Franco is a character who's very quiet, reserved, and taken back. He barely says anything when you're in front of him. He's very, like, you know, very, not the word's not depressed, but he's just very empty throughout the entire movie. The only thing that remotely excites him is when he starts spending more and more time with Jonah Hill's character. Okay? When the two of them are together, that's it. And you have these two characters, you're waiting for a sort of progression with both of the characters. You're waiting for both characters to sort of go on this journey. You want each character to have certain arc points that work. And you want the story to climax in a way that just blows your mind. Okay? You want this to be a really engaging story. And for the majority of the film, it is. It's a lot of setup that is setting up the relationship between these two and is setting us up for what is a twisted story. And you think it's going to end in a very twisted way, but by the time we get to the point that we're waiting for the movie to just blow our minds with an incredible payoff, we really get an ending that just isn't all that exciting, or doesn't have a progression, in my opinion, and doesn't have the sort of payoff that I think most of us are looking for. And that is True Story. Now, that's one problem I had with the movie. The other problem I had with the movie, and this isn't the script, this isn't the directing, because the movie's shot very well. The cinematography looks great. The movie's directed well. The editing is good. There may have been just a bit too many close-ups on some of the characters, especially in the courtroom scenes. Like, you got some really tight close-ups on characters to sort of make you feel, I guess, uncomfortable, but it just doesn't come off that way, so that's another little nitpick I had. But the other problem I have with this movie is not the movie in itself, it's the story. This movie has a story that I don't think should have been turned into a movie in the first place. It's a really crazy story. A guy is convicted of murdering his family members, his 3 young children and his wife. The way he pleads guilty in the movie, or not guilty in the movie, is shocking in its own right. Okay, and you have great moments like that in the beginning. But by the time the story concludes, it's not a conclusion that would normally warrant excitement in the viewer, or warrant a payoff that I think we all deserved. And that's the story itself. Now, I'm glad that the filmmakers did not fabricate the story and make James Franco's character be crazier than he sort of comes off as, or sort of like, I don't know, like a crazy prisoner, okay, or something like that. Like in movies. Let's think of a crazy prisoner we've seen in film before. I can't think of one off the top of my head at this point. And I'm glad that the filmmakers stuck to the true story and tried to turn this story into a movie by not fabricating anything. And that kind of relates to the title of the movie itself and the message of the movie itself, is that people lie a lot, okay? And the title of the movie is True Story. They made this story as true to the actual story as best as they could. And I think they sort of pulled it off. The only thing is, the story in its own right is not that exciting. And that's why it doesn't make for an engaging, compelling, or tense movie as it's marketed. And again, I'm not upset with the marketing per se, because they honestly marketed the movie to get more people in it, to say, oh look, it's a crime thriller with James Franco and Jonah Hill. They didn't market it as a psychological drama between the two, because what's going to get more people into the movie? And don't get me wrong, psychological dramas are fine with me. Psychological films in general are fine with me. I love a movie that makes you think. And this movie definitely makes you think a bit. But it doesn't, again, as I've said before, it doesn't achieve the climax that I felt we all needed or the story deserved. It just feels like the filmmakers told the story the way it actually unfolded, but it doesn't make for a good movie because it doesn't have progression, or it doesn't have an actual legitimate payoff that I think we all sort of deserve. Now, there is a payoff in this movie, and it is pretty engaging. Okay? It is interesting. There's one final scene between James Franco and Jonah Hill, and it is at a moment, I think they were trying to just shock us all with that moment, but it just didn't really affect me. I don't think it affected any of my audience members either. And again, I'm glad that they stuck with their integrity and made the story the way it unfolded, but it's just a story that I don't think needed to be told in a movie in the first place. It should have probably just stood in the book that it's based off of, or maybe they could have done like a 2020 story on it. You know, like that show 2020 or that show 48 Hours Mystery. I mean, they easily could have just, you know, done an episode of one of those shows based on this story. I don't think we needed a whole movie for it to be truth be told, because the story itself just doesn't fit, you know, a regular story structure of a movie. In terms of having build-up, having an inciting incident, which this movie has. It has all that. It has a first act, a second act, an inciting incident, you know, rising action, all of that. But it doesn't have the proper climax or payoff or third act that you think that you're going to get with the film. And it feels like one of the characters anyway, James Franco's character, doesn't evolve in the movie or doesn't really go through any arcs. Jonah Hill's character, you could argue, doesn't either. There's a scene, his final scene in the movie really shows that his character has gone through one specific change. And from when we first started with him, James Franco's character, not at all. And that's another reason why the movie doesn't entirely work. You want that progression, and you want that moment of payoff. You want that climax that transcends or transforms these character arcs and brings these characters on a complete journey. But you don't get that with True Story, and that's why I was a little upset with the movie. And I know it seems like I've been bashing the movie. I liked it. It had compelling dialogue scenes. The movie kept me engaged. I did not, you know, fall asleep like I did in this movie. I was awake, I was engaged, but I just felt sort of, you know, let down by the time everything concluded. And that's how I feel about True Story. James Franco and Jonah Hill are incredible. Okay? The direction is great. All right? The shots are good, even though they had a little bit too many close-ups. The dialogue itself is compelling. It's just the story that just didn't work for me. But I would say see it for James Franco and Jonah Hill. The two are just really good actors that are working today. And they show that they don't have to stick with a comedic movie just to get a paycheck. They can do a dramatic role and still pull it off very well, actually. They can transform themselves. And I think James Franco kind of does in this movie, and Jonah Hill definitely does, you know? And that's why I admire them in this movie, and I admire their work, but they were just given a story that just isn't all that compelling or exciting, especially when we get to the final few moments of the film that need those questions answered and need those moments to be fulfilled, need all that setup and build-up to be fulfilled. And while it is fulfilled, it's not fulfilled in a way that is exciting for a movie, in my opinion. It's just really another story that you can't help but feel that it's a story that didn't need to be told as a movie. That's how I feel about True Story. But the performances are good, and all that worked. The direction, the editing, I thought the cinematography was real good. Some of the shots I really liked. But other than that, it's just the story is ultimately what matters. You can have a great looking movie with excellent performances. If the story is not as engaging or engrossing as it should be, the movie's not going to be as good as you'd want it to be. So that's all I have to say about True Story. Guys, I'm going to give this movie an 8 out of 10 or B-. And I know it seems like I've been bashing the movie a lot and it needed a better story. I may even go C+, 7.75 out of 10. I just was a little bit let down. What did you guys feel about the movie? If you've seen it, let me know down below. What do you think of the actual story behind this movie? Yeah. So thanks for watching, guys. I hope you enjoyed my review. Leave me your thoughts on the movie down below. And I'll see you in my next video, guys. Bye.